So I've been dying over the whole of Christmas holidays, not being able to tell anyone that I had an advance peek at the newest Spitfire Originals library, their cinematic frozen strings. And I've really been wanting to do a deep dive into some of these sounds because they are amazing and so detailed and textured. And in fact, this is the second time I've done it because the first time I forgot to put my audio through the screen record. So I've had a little practice. I thought I'd start with one of my favorite sounds, the Harmonic Tremolo patch. Okay, so this is what it sounds like completely on its own. That's using the close and tree mics, but my favourite feature of this entire library is the super close mics. So I'll just bring that in now, show you what it sounds like. Just stunning, right? The detail in the sound is just incredible. The fact that you can like hear the bow moving on the string, I love that. So I wanted to show you how I use this in my demo that I did for Spitfire Audio, and I blended it with a live alto flute. So here's a bit of that on its own. I think it goes so well with the live sound. There it is just at the top there. Next, we've got these transitional patches like the Sul Tasto to Sul Pont. So that's Sul Tasto bowing on the fingerboard to Sul Ponticello bowing on the bridge. And the way that these evolve is so useful when you just want to give something a bit of direction. I'll show you what they sound like alone. So that's the Sul Tasto. As I move this, go to the Sul Pont. And these are so practical to use when you're writing. It's so rare that you want a sound to just sit there. I just love anything where I can take a sound and it can evolve as it plays. I'll show you how I use this in the demo, just to build up to a climactic moment. And I combined that with the Tremolo CS Sul Pont, so that's Tremolo, fast bowing, CS Concertino, Sul Pont on the bridge. I'll play you that on its own first, same chord, just creeps in. And you start to really get that almost nasty bite, which I love. Anything that can kind of give a bit of grit to the sound. Those combined together sound like this. And for those, I just used mostly close and tree mics. I wanted that to be a bit more of a kind of distant part of the piece, but I will show you. So this is just a 30-second demo, but in it, I wanted to go from a really intimate sound to something that was much more broad, much more expansive. And so I just decided to use the mics to do that rather than big dynamic changes. So if I look at my main string parts, I've got kind of a string quartet going here. This is using a long flautando concertino patch. And just the quartet on its own. If you just watch the mics as we go, I'll play it to you. Starting with just the super close. And they mean super close. These mics are attached to the instruments. Now starting to bring in a bit of the close mic. And here, switch completely, just close, switching to tree. All right, before we move on from the longs, I wanted to go to one of my favourite patches, Col Legno Tratto. Long Col Legno Tratto. I had to look this one up I've been playing in orchestras for 20 years. I mean, professionally for 10 years, and I've never come across this. So Col Legno Tratto playing, like bowing with the wood of the bow. I looked it up and it said that it's not really performed much because it can damage the bow. So respect to those players who recorded for this session. And it just sounds incredible. I'll just play you a little bit of it on its own first with this super close mic. You've probably gathered by now I'm pretty obsessed with that. Going through some more dynamic layers. Here's another one of the long patches that I had never come across this playing technique ever. Long No Rosin. For those who aren't orchestral players, rosin is what string players put on the bow to kind of give it some traction. So I genuinely had no idea what to expect from this patch before I heard it. Here's a little bit of what it sounds like on its own. You can hear the hair of the bow moving across the string, again, especially on the super close. And I just used this towards the end. I wanted to build up to a big climax and then just be left with this kind of otherworldly sound at the end. Alright, moving on to some of the short patches. I've always been a big Col Legno fan. Again, this is with the wood of the bow. I love this in the bottom register as well. You can almost use it percussively. Alright, so I just want to show you what I did in this demo. So I was going for a minimalist orchestral style, so I didn't want to use the Col Legno in a rhythmic way like I usually would. Instead, I've got it on the super close mic here, and I just took some of the really high register. I just want it to sound almost like, you know, if you see a time-lapse video of ice forming, just those kind of like icicles and crystals, that sort of sound. So just all on one note, but then I added a stereo delay to that. Just wanted it to sound almost like a shiver going up your spine. So I actually had a tip off from someone, Matt Campbell, thank you very much, that this Col Legno patch is amazing with the mandolin pluck. So I'm going to try that. Just going to play a little bit of those together. Ooh, take off the stereo delay. It's probably a bit much. Yeah, I really like the warmth that that mandolin pluck adds to it. I did use mandolin pluck in this demo for one note. Does anyone else do that? Just add in one thing that you can't even hear, just as a little Easter egg, but you know it's there. Okay, it's coming up here. I'll play the whole thing to you. Spot the mandolin pluck. I just thought it adds a little bit to that percussive, that's a Hans Zimmer low boom that I've got on there. I would love to know who else is using the original cinematic frozen strings. I'll definitely be writing some more stuff with it, so look out for that. And you can find the demo and a very much shorter version of this on my Reels page or on my profile grid. Thanks for watching.